Come on. Good morning, beloveds. I've kind of been swarmed. I got 3 of the cats in here, so if it gets interesting, that's why. Sorry, I'm getting my head together. Yesterday was a beautiful day. Today we woke up and it's kind of cloudy. We have a 30% chance of rain, so no sunshine. But we went for a bike ride today. And it's been a few weeks since we've managed to get that in the schedule. It's like I do exercise 6 days, most of the time 6 days out of 7. I pick one day to rest because you just need to do that. You need to give your body a break. And, but right now I can't manage the garage doors because we have to do them manually. They are ancient. And, so, if my husband goes in early on Fridays, I don't go for a bike ride. Because I can't manage the garage door. And I'm not ready to bring it through the house. Yet. We'll get there. So I got to go for a bike ride and it was just hard today. It was just hard. Alright. It is March 5th. Our title is Human Relations. And remember that in the month we are working on the month of faith. So, and it just started raining. Okay. March 5th, Human Relations. There is one spirit incarnated in everyone, an immortal presence forever expanding everything, causing everything to grow. What a difference it would make in our human relations if we tried to sense the meaning of this divine incarnation in all people and adjust our viewpoint to the truth that all are bound together in the unity of God. While it is true, as the scripture says, that now we see through a glass darkly, it is still hidden within each one the cause of all life, all aspiration, and all faith. We are so used to thinking of ourselves as separate from one another that we suspect the very feeling and emotion that causes us to embrace everything in love. The one who loves the most will live the most. We meet each other only in fragments, only partially, only in a miserly way when we refuse to open the whole avenue of our consciousness to the realization that there is but one living spirit. If our human relations are to mean the most to us, we must sense that there is a hidden within, around, and through each of us, as each of us a divine presence manifesting itself in infinite variations. The same impulse, the same love and life, but never quite alike in any two persons. Today, I'm going to meet each experience as I feel it really is. I will endeavor to see the divine presence in everything. I am demanding of myself that I see and sense and feel the one life that flows through all things. I affirm this presence and accept its beneficent action because it already is. As I go forth today and embark on the wonderful experience of living, I am on a journey of self-discovery and also of the discovery of the self hidden in everyone and the power in back of everything. And our Bible quote is, that they may all be one, as thou, Father, art in me, and I in thee, that they may also be one in us. And that is John 17:21. Okay. I love Ernest. I really do. But sometimes when I read his works, I'm like, I don't know what he's talking about. I don't understand. And that's one of the reasons why I started. Because initially when I started this project almost a year ago, when I initially started this project, I was like, I'll just get on and I'll read it. And I wasn't getting anything out of it. And this is one of those where it's like, okay, I've read it, but what? And that's when I started to go back and reread it and taking it a sentence at a time and thinking about it. I'm just thinking out loud because I'm recording it. So sometimes, and I would suggest this with any sacred text, read it and read it out loud. And then go back and take it a sentence at a time and really think about it. And that's where the value of having a conversation with somebody, because that's what I'm doing. Except I'm talking to myself because there may or may not be anybody watching. Sometimes I know and sometimes I don't. Live. So I'm thinking out loud about what I'm reading. And today's one of those where, because sometimes I'll get to the end of it and I'm like, yes, I have thoughts. And this one, I got to the end of it and went, what? And so I would suggest that with Ernest and with any other sacred text or anything that you read and then you go, what? Go back, take it apart, sentence at a time, and really think it through. And if it helps to do it out loud, start a YouTube channel. Okay, so he's talking about human relationship, and I get that. If I was going to sum up what I just read, what I would tell you is the same thing that I tell you most days. We are divine splinters, meaning that we carry a spark of the eternal within us. We all have the same, we're all coming from the same source. We all have the same spark. We've just put a different cover on it. So our outside looks a little different. And but it's the same soul. So when you're looking in your eyes, I want you to see God looking back at you. And the more you practice that, the more you are willing to look in somebody else's eye and see God looking back at you. To see that divine spark or that divine splinter or that, the divine spirit, the divine soul looking back at you. And then when you recognize, wait, that's God looking back at me, it will change. Absolutely. Will change the way you interact with each other. It will. When you see that divine spirit looking back at you, you're like, oh. And you recognize that connection. And it absolutely will change the way you interact with people. Okay, so, and that's his first paragraph. There is one spirit incarnated in everyone, an immortal presence forever expanding everything, causing everything to grow. What a difference it would make in our human relations if we tried to sense the meaning of this divine incarnation in all people and adjust our viewpoint to the truth that all are bound together in the unity of God. So that's what I'm talking about. He's like, we all carry that presence within us. We are splinters or sparks of that one presence. We all have the same source. Now, how would it be if we acted like that? While it is true, as the scripture says, that now we see through a glass darkly, and the glass darkly, that's material, mortal, this stuff, because that stuff makes us look different, when yet we all have the same source. We all carry that same spirit within us, that spirit of God. But the outside looks different. That's the glass darkly. One version of the glass darkly. There's a lot of different ways you can interpret the glass darkly. But in this case, that's where we're going with it. There is still hidden within each one the cause of all life. The cause, capital C, the cause of all life, all aspiration, and all faith. There is no one that God is not in. Just like there is no one that God does not love. We are so used to thinking of ourselves as separate from one another that we suspect the very feeling and emotion that causes us to embrace everything in love. We are so used to thinking that we are separate that that impulse that causes us to embrace everything in love, we suspect it. We're like, where's that coming from? Well, it's coming from God. And we all have God. And we're like, but, because we think we're separate. And we're not. The one who loves the most will live the most. Take that as you will. But think about the people in your life. The people who are the most loving do tend to be the happier people in my life. And when I am loving, I'm happier. I actually enjoy being nice to people. It makes me happy. Okay, so those who love the most will live the most. We meet each other only in fragments, only partially, only in a miserly way when we refuse to open the whole avenue of our consciousness. It's a very long sentence. So basically, we're shorting ourselves in our relationships with each other when we really refuse to open the whole avenue of our consciousness to the realization that there is but one living spirit. If our human relations are to mean the most to us, we must sense that there is a hidden within, around, and through each of us, a divine presence manifesting itself in infinite variations. That is one long sentence. Because it's not even finished yet. There's now a dash. If our human relationships are to mean the most of us, we must sense that there is hidden within, around, and through each one of us a divine presence. We gotta look for the God in each one of us. We gotta look for that generating spirit within each one of us. That source. That love, that creativity. We got to be willing to look at each other's eyes and recognize that we are brothers and sisters in spirit, because we all have the same source. And we all have the same amount of the source. Nobody has more, nobody has less. The most godly people you know do not have more spirit. They just use it better. Okay, and I like how he says, a divine presence manifesting itself in infinite variations. Just because we have the same source doesn't mean that we are all the same. Unity is not uniformity. Unity is recognizing through the wondrous creativity of spirit that we all have the same source. We all came from the same place. We're all going to the same place. We just get to play with that creativity for a little while. The same impulse, the same love and life, but never quite alike in any two persons. That's what makes the world interesting. That infinite variations. Today, I am going to meet each experience as I feel it really is. Now, how do I feel it really is? He says that, and I'm like, oh, okay, Ernest. I'm going to meet each experience as I feel it really is. I'm going to look for the love. I'm going to look for the spirit. I'm going to look for the God. I'm going to look for the unity. That's our mission today, by the way. I will endeavor to see the divine presence in everything. I am demanding of myself. Nobody's demanding it of me. I am demanding of myself that I see and sense and feel the one life that flows through all things. I affirm this presence and accept its beneficent action because it already is. Capital I, it already is. It's like that divine presence is there. It is my job to sense it, to recognize it, to consciously acknowledge it. As I go forth today and embark on the wondrous experience of living, I am on a journey of self-discovery. What am I discovering? I'm discovering the divine spark within myself. And as I recognize it within myself, I'm going to recognize it in everyone around me. And everything around me. And also the discovery of the self hidden in everyone and the power back of everything. So, as I am on a journey of self-discovery and also on the discovery of the self hidden within everyone and the power back of everything. So, the Bible quote, that they all may be one as thou, Father, art in me, and I in thee, that they may also be one in us. So that's Jesus saying, Father, thou art in me. I am in you. May everyone else around me recognize that they are too. That they are in you. That they are in God. And because they are in God, they are also in Jesus. I'm pretty sure that's Jesus talking right there. So, our mission today, should we choose to accept it, is to endeavor to see the divine presence in everything. That means when you look in the mirror and look in your eyes, you see the divine presence looking back at you. And when you look in another living being, that means I'm including, all of the four-leggeds with fur and or fish or scales or what, when you look in those beings, you see the divine presence looking back at you. And as you expand that awareness, you can expand it into the living, everything living. So plants have the divine presence. And then we can even expand it into the inanimate objects. I know that's a little weird. But we say we all have the same source. We're all God's stuff. That means everything around us is God's stuff. Even the inanimate. All right, beloveds. It's a heck of a mission today. A heck of a mission, but it is a mission that as you practice it literally can change your life. It can change your relationships. When you are willing to look into people's eyes and see God looking back at you, it will change the way you interact with them. And as it changes the way you interact with them, it will shift the way that they interact with you. When you can hold the space for someone to be a child of God, even when they're not acting like it, because we all have those days, right? It'll give them a pause, and it can open a door for them. You may never see it, and that's the hazards of doing this work. We do this work. We hold the space. We may never see the fruits of that work, but that's okay because we know that it is working. So, all right, beloveds, I'm going to move into the process of my day, and I am going to encourage you, as I always do, to do something loving for yourself, do something kind for yourself, do something compassionate for yourself, whatever that looks like today. I know I'm big on encouraging you to do something to engage your mind and your body, but if you need to rest, please do that, because that is loving, kind, and compassionate as well. Last night, I was uploading the soul session to the YouTube channel, the Creative Life YouTube channel, which if you haven't seen it, please go to the YouTube, the Creative Life Spiritual Center YouTube channel and check out that soul session. It was phenomenal. It was Reverend Jesse and Reverend Ronnie. So good. And it took 2 hours. And after about an hour, I was done. I couldn't sit in that chair any longer. And my husband agreed to switch chairs with me. And he sat, because all you have to do is babysit the computer and make sure it doesn't shut off, so it'll continue to upload. Hazards of electronics, right? There's got to be a faster way to do it. But it was loving, kind, and compassionate on my part because I asked him if he would do it. I had the kindness and the compassion to know that I was done. I couldn't sit in the chair any longer, and I asked. And he had the loving, kind, and compassionate for me by being willing to do it. So, it's little things like that. When you've hit your limit and you ask for help in whatever it is, that is a loving, kind, and compassionate act for yourself. All right? Okay. I don't know if we're going to see the sun today, but I do encourage you, open the windows of your soul. Allow that breath of heaven to remind you you do live in heaven now. Because you are a beloved child of God in whom Spirit is well pleased always and forever. You are worthy. You are loved. And more importantly, you are wanted here, right now, to have whatever experiences of love, of joy, of happiness, of creativity that you can manifest. That's what you're here for. We don't have to have a grand purpose. We're here to love ourselves and others. But the best place to start, right here with yourself. All right, beloveds. Reverend David should be on with you on Facebook Live around 5 p.m. I will be back with you around 9 a.m. It is Friday. That means tomorrow's Saturday. I get to go to the park. And we have peanuts for squirrels. And I haven't been to the park in 2 weeks. So I'm very excited. All right. So do what you need to do to have a wonderful day. And I will see you tomorrow. Or you can catch me anytime on the YouTube channel, The Running Rev Ryan. They're all archived on there. All right? Have a wonderful day, beloveds.